Like as a photographer, if you don't have a fancy camera, start with your phone, right? I mean, just start and you just build on it, right? As you keep going and learn to believe in yourself, right? What you say to yourself is huge, right? If you keep on telling yourself you're a failure, you're going to attract failure in your life. But if you're going to, keep telling yourself you're worthy, you can go out there and do it, you're going to keep doing it, right? And yeah, at first it's going to sound weird because it's weird talking to yourself, right? You're not used to it. And you're going to think it's funny and awkward. But the more you keep doing it, it'll become a part of the process, a part of your routine. You just got to start doing it, right? Everything you start the first time will seem awkward and weird and funny, but the more you keep doing it, the better you'll get at it.
Hey everyone, it's me, Jake Rice. You're listening to the voice of Sheena Yap Chan. Sheena started a podcast since 2015 discussing about self-confidence, and since then, it has been creating a positive impact in a lot of people's lives. She's been featured in MindValley, Podcaster Paradise, and Apple Podcasts. On this episode, we talk about her design life stories growing up, why failing is just part of the process, how to overcome hurdle and put yourself into perspective, why having a huge purpose is necessary, and actionable step on building your self-confidence, and how to get started on podcasting to make an impact, and a lot of great stuff. You can check her podcast by visiting thetowofselfconfidence.com. That's thetowofselfconfidence.com. And if you have any questions or any feedback, please do let me know. You can support the show by leaving a feedback on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Just an honest feedback. Let me know if I'm moving to the right direction or not, or what do you like about the show? How is it? How do you find the show? Is it interesting or educating, and does it help you? I really love to know that. And love to hear from you guys. And for those who are asking how to support the show, there's a lot of ways that you can support the show. Like what I've said, you can leave a review, and you can also share your favorite podcast episode for your colleagues, family, friends, and even strangers. So share it, guys, and I would love to hear also your questions. If you have any questions, you can send at least 2-minute audio clips. You can send it through email at hi@jchristebes.com. That's hi@jchristebes.com. I will answer that on air, and I will try to give a meaningful advice as much as I can. So you can also donate monetarily by visiting the designlifeshow.com. You can search it, and there's a donate button on the top corner or top right of the website, so you can know more about it on how to support the show. I think we can go now on this episode. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. You're listening to The Design Life Show, a podcast that's helping everyone grow to live a meaningful and creative life. It's me, Jake Rice, a designer from the Philippines, best known for being an advocate of essentialism and optimism. I'm sitting down with awesome people to talk about their journey, their process, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Hey Sheena, how are you? So welcome to the TDLS, so the Design Life Show. That's the title of the podcast. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation. For those who don't know Sheena Yap Chan, can you introduce yourself and say a little bit about your personal background?
For sure. Thanks for having me, Jay. So my name is Sheena Yap Chan. I'm born in the Philippines, moved to Canada when I was 7. And currently I host a podcast called The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I interview Asian women about their struggles when it comes to, self-confidence and how they're able to overcome it to live the life that they want. I think, especially designing the life that you want, it does take confidence because it's not always easy, but it's worth it, right? So, it's something that I'm really passionate about, helping women, especially helping Asian women with their self-confidence, especially with the society and family barriers that we go through every single day. So, yeah, that's a little bit more about me.
So let's. How do you start on doing a podcast for self confidence? I really love how you put this podcast. You're now on 500 episode, right? And it's been I think a great journey for you because you've been also featured in Apple Podcast, right? So when do you start, and when is the aha moment that I really need to start the podcast to help everyone, to help those who would like to start their career and or to boost their self confidence.
Sure. So for me, it started with something that I wanted to listen to or have some type of support system because, back then I wasn't as confident. I had, I always was afraid to do anything. I always saw failure as something really bad. And, I just never saw any support system for women, let alone Asian women. So, I decided if, I couldn't find it, I would create it. And yeah, I didn't start it right away because I was scared. I didn't think I was good enough. I thought people would not listen to me. So it was a battle. It took me a while to actually get it started, but having the right people around you is truly important because they're there for you to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear, right? So if it wasn't for a friend of mine who told me just put it out there, and if it sucks, it sucks. If it doesn't, that's great. That actually pushed me to realize, okay, I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. Because a part of me was also, had to get everything like perfect. And, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you try to overthink something. Just
Oh,
really.
yeah. I was really great at overthinking.
Yeah, that's I think a lot of people do that, especially creative people, right? So me, I'm in the design industry, so most of the time I do work that I really uh, love that I want to publish it perfect as much as possible, but in reality there's no perfection, right? There is no perfect. So I thank you so much for sharing that. So growing up, so let's go back a little bit. So just to give context for our listeners, so growing up, what's your dream, and can you tell more a little bit about your uh, life stories, so we can talk more.
Sure. So, growing up in the Philippines and in Canada
Mhm.
was quite an experience, especially growing up in the Philippines and always, following what you're told to do versus what you want to do. It's not always easy, right? I
Agree.
mean, as an Asian woman, you're just told to go to school, get a job, get married, and never rock the boat, right?
Yeah.
You always have to please others before you please yourself, and we end up actually hurting ourselves instead of helping ourselves because we just feel like we have to do everything for everyone, and then we don't learn to love ourselves in the process. We don't know how to make our own decisions because we've been brought up to just follow what everyone else tells us. And I think it's something that most women, especially Asian women, go through. They end up not trusting themselves, not feeling worthy, always second guessing themselves, judging themselves, being their own worst enemy. I mean, those are some of the things that I went through. And it's not like every day was a bad day, but back then I was a lot more afraid, right? Afraid of what people might think of me, afraid of people making fun of me, afraid of getting rejected, afraid of making mistakes. I mean, I went to kindergarten in the Philippines, in Cebu, where I was born, and I remember that my kindergarten teacher failed me. I failed kindergarten, so imagine that as a child. So she failed me because I was coloring outside the lines, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine how that really
Yeah.
affected me,
Mm-hmm.
especially how we're brought up, right?
Your
I mean, if
self-esteem. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I always saw failure was something really bad because we've always been taught that failure was like the end of all end, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, for the longest time I didn't realize that moment in my life really affected, what I did and how I thought and saw myself. And it made me realize, like, if I saw it in a different perspective, learning that I was never meant to color inside the lines. I was always meant to go outside and step outside of the lines or step outside of the box. I was just meant to live life, my way, right? Not how you're told to do. It's how you want to live. And I think, that if I, I guess if I learned it that way, things would have been a lot more different. But you know what? I'm grateful for all the lessons that I've learned, because then I can share, what I've been through, and hopefully, whoever's listening to this can realize, like, maybe it's happened to them or a similar situation happened to them, that they can come out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a friend. She's this UI designer. So I always think that her design is so good. Her creativity is so far more than me. But her self confidence bring her down. So I think it's really important that you've shared something from growing up. Like your failure is not only the end goal, right? Failure is it's just part of the process. I think it's just part of the process, and that's what can we learn from you, Sheena. So thank you again for doing for sharing the story of you. So again, I am interested and fascinated about how you grown your podcast, and as you might know, because I just started last March, right? So I think I experiment a lot, and I publish every week. So can you what can you advise for me? So for also for the creator out there who just want to get started and do what they love to do.
Well, for one thing, you have to go out there and just do it. Sometimes the hardest step is the first step. Like for me, the first step is always the hardest. And once you kind of get over that hurdle, like it actually gets a lot easier. Sometimes you're wondering, why did I take so long? Right.
Yeah.
So maybe you just have to take that first step. And what's amazing about podcasting is that you get to be whoever you want to be. You can be yourself. And, people will be drawn to who you truly are, right? You don't have to put on a facade. I mean, it's not like you're on a video, you're just talking, right? And people are listening to your voice. I mean, this is a great platform to share what you love, to share your voice, to make a positive difference in the world. So for me, when it comes to creating a podcast or doing something that you love, I always go back to, why are you doing it, right? What's the purpose of you doing it? For me, I created a podcast is because I really want to help women, especially women of Asian descent, to just be more confident in themselves and realize, there's more than one way of living life, right? And that they can go out there and do it because, it's been done before. If it's possible for one person, it's possible for them. And, just sharing these stories of women who've been through like the darkest moments in their life to, be who they are today, 6-7-figure earners, actresses, singers, being named Forbes 30 under 30. I mean, it wasn't a walk in the park, but they did whatever they could to realize that they are worth, doing that, right? That they can go out there and do it. So yeah, I mean, having a huge purpose is necessary, right? Because there's going to be days where you're not going to want a podcast. There's going to be days where you feel like quitting. So it's really necessary to go back to your purpose and, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Right? Is it because, I want to help more people out there? And when you keep on, going back to that, it just, all the little things go away. I mean, they're still there, but it doesn't matter as much. And you just keep going. I mean, there's days where I wanted to throw my laptop against the wall, but I knew I had a purpose.
I think a lot of people really drawn into finding their purpose. They go through a lot of challenges, and you will find yourself in a lot of rabbit hole, right? So I think what you said is just get started, and do your purpose or do what you love is really it's really the key. So yeah, and I think I started this in March, last March, which is I'm not really confident on myself, on my voice, on my own voice. But I tried I tried video blog, so something like that, but it didn't work. So and then I stumbled podcast, and then yes, I think, and then I realized this is what I really really want to do. It's really fascinating to talk with people, and also people like you, Sheena. So it's really give me into it puts me into perspective. So English is not my first language, but I try my best to bring value as much as I can. So yeah, what are for all the challenges you've been through growing up and doing the podcast, uh, and you've been you've grown tremendously. Yeah, is it right? So what's the I think biggest challenges that you've gone through or you faced growing up or and doing or finding your purpose?
So the challenges I've been through is just
Yeah.
really learning to love myself, and it's not just learning to love the good parts of myself. It's knowing
Mhm.
learning to love myself unconditionally. Like if I make a mistake, if I have flaws, I have to learn to love that part of me as well, because I can't expect other people to love the good and bad parts of me if I can't even do it myself.
100%.
It has to start with you, so that the right people will gravitate to you. So loving yourself is really important, and that took me a while because I used to be very critical of myself. I mean, I
Yeah.
still am, but it's not as bad as before. And like I would like just sometimes lie in bed and just like say every
Procrastinate.
bad thing about procrastinate and like say every bad thing about myself, and it didn't help me. It actually hurt me,
Yeah.
and I had to realize like I am worthy and I can go out there and create a difference in the world. And we're all here for a purpose. We might not know it yet, but this is what's great about the journey. You go and search for it. When you start getting curious, you're going to ask the right questions, and when you start asking the right questions, the right answers will appear right before your eyes, before you like, and it will just hit you. So
Yes.
yeah, learning to love myself, and learning to just be my true self was a big challenge, because I always felt like I had to hide who I was. I always felt like I had to be a good daughter, or a good granddaughter, or
Yeah.
just be told what to do, versus like doing what I really want. And it's not always easy when you go against your family, right? Because they don't understand what you're doing. But just because it doesn't make sense to them doesn't mean it won't make sense to you. Like everything will make sense in the long run. It's just sometimes you got to go with that feeling that you're being pulled towards this certain area in your life, and you don't know why, but you just have to go and figure it out, versus always thinking what if. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I really uh, find your voice is really good. I'm
Oh, thank
intimidated
you.
with your voice right now.
Thank you. It's
Yeah, it's
funny
really
because
great. Yeah, I really love how you talk on the microphone. So yeah, do you let's go to the pan part. We can talk about more. So let's discuss more pan more fun topics like yeah. Do you a lot of people ask me, so how can we start? There are times na they say you already there, but I don't know how to start. I don't have the equipment. I don't have this. I don't have this kind of camera. I don't have this kind of microphone. So how do you start with that? Do you just do you buy something great equipment to start, or you just use your own resources?
like to
Mhm.
start a
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Start on creating.
yeah
Yeah.
so I mean, if you can afford it, you get the tools, the minimal
Mhm.
tools that you can get, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So like with podcasting, a microphone,
Mhm.
some recording software. I mean, the recording software I still use is free, except
Yeah.
for when I record calls. That's a
Mhm.
different story. But even then, there's still free options for that.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't have a microphone, I mean, start with your headphones. You just got to be
Yeah, that's
resourceful. I
true.
mean, I
Mhm.
remember a friend of mine
Yeah.
who is now, a successful photographer, like professional photographer. And she always knew that photography iPhone. And, she just started using her phone to take pictures and,
Mhm.
just started from there and just kept going. And as her clientele grew, then she was able to invest in a better camera. But I mean, just because you don't have the items doesn't mean you can't start. You just got to learn to
Mhm.
be resourceful and find ways to get it started. And, it's great because when someone hears your first episode versus your 100th episode, they can see your journey and
Yeah.
how much you've
Mhm.
grown, and people love
Mhm.
seeing that progress. So yeah, I mean, just being resourceful is huge because a lot of people say I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, there's a lot of people who don't have a lot of stuff when they started. They just found a way. So yeah.
Yeah, just find your way. Yeah, your way, right? So I think a lot of people overthink. Yeah, just creative people really overthink a lot. They tend uh, what you hide their works, or they don't like to publish it publicly because they're afraid because someone will judge them. That's really one thing that we can learn from you. This self confidence is really you. I feel like you personified the self confidence. Yeah.
Oh,
uh,
well, thank you. I
yeah,
still
yeah.
have days where I'm not confident, but thank you.
Why?
I
I
mean,
don't. Mhm. Yeah.
it's a forever journey, right? It's
Yeah.
not like
It's
it's always,
it's always a
100%.
hassle. Mhm.
Well, I mean, we go through challenges every day, right? I mean,
Mhm.
life is never like linear, right? It's like a roller coaster. It's up and down all the time. Sometimes your life
Yeah.
will turn you upside down. Sometimes there's good days, sometimes there isn't, but
Mhm.
you just keep going, right? You fall down 10 times, you get back up
Mhm.
11 times. And that's pretty much it. As long as you keep persevering and keep going at what you want to do,
Mhm.
that's confidence. Confidence doesn't mean you have to be loud and
Yes.
like,
Mhm.
feel like you always have to be, yeah, like loud, right? It's not. You can
Noisy.
be
Mhm.
you can be an introvert and still be confident. It's just, taking
Mhm.
action on what you do and knowing that you are more than enough to go out there and do the things that you want, do the things that you love.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
not always easy. It's gonna suck sometimes. And maybe there's days where you feel like quitting, but in the end, it's gonna be all worth it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not always confident. I mean, there's days where I just don't even want to do anything, or I don't feel like I'm
Wow.
worthy, but I remind
Mhm.
myself all the time that I am worthy, and
Wow.
I just keep going.
Mhm. That's really encouraging. Hearing that from a great podcaster, from a great content creator like you is it's really encouraging to know your journey and yeah, I think listeners are find it valuable to hear that too. Not in the bad part, but in the good in the good part, right? In the good way. So yeah. How many how many listeners do you have when you get started? When you publish your first episode?
Well, with
Mm-hmm.
podcasting, you measure it by the number of downloads.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think my first day I had like 100 downloads. I don't even remember,
Wow,
to be honest.
100. That's
I
that's a large number.
I don't even remember, to be
That's
honest.
really
Like,
good. Yeah, that's really
thank
good.
you. So I mean, it was really scary for me when I
Yep.
first started. I mean, I had so much um, doubts in my head. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't good enough. I felt like people weren't going to listen to me.
Yeah.
When
Mhm.
people say I have a nice voice. You know, I hated my voice. I thought I sounded really bad. So it's like
No,
all these,
no. Believe me,
yeah,
no.
like how I see myself is totally different, right? And I think that's something we all go through.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I'm glad I put it out there, even though if it wasn't perfect. I mean, you know, my audio wasn't always perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
sometimes when I interview women, they're
Hmm.
on a subway, you
Yes.
know, they're in Bali where there's monkeys in the background, but you know, I just put it out there because it's what's authentic, it's what's real,
Yeah.
and you know, it
Mhm.
people appreciate that more because you know, you're not trying to be perfect, you're just trying to be yourself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the
Interesting.
interesting part on podcasting, because you have to default yourself as you, right, as human, because I think you can force yourself something uh, luxurious or cool or planned, because this is the reality, right? So this, you just put your self out there to give value, and see how this works for you and for them. So yeah, thank you so much. That's really encouraging and inspiring, Sheena. Yeah, I really find your voice really inspiring, because when I hear your voice, I discovered you on podcast PH groups. So I just I've listened on your few episode. That's really inspiring, and you publish great content online. Yeah, the I will take note of all all of that. So yeah, so let's go again on the pan part on this podcast. So uh uh how I think most of your listeners know you as an advocate of self confidence, as an advocate of being you, as you, so 100% you. So for those who know you, or for those who don't know you, what are the things that what are the things that they don't know about you? So unpack about you na they don't know. Is it? Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry about
um,
that, to ramble that.
no, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Something they don't know about
A
me.
fun fact about you. Yeah. Is there anything that they don't?
Um, well,
Mhm.
when I was little, I was a flower girl for my aunt's wedding, and I
Wow.
used to love the movie Cinderella. And
Cinderella.
so, yeah, so when my aunt and uncle was about to say I do to each other, I actually went up, you know, and started singing like Cinderella in front of everybody. And it
Mhm.
was on video, but thank God Betamax doesn't exist anymore. So,
Yeah.
I guess that's a fun fact about me. I mean, I love Cinderella as a kid. You know, if it wasn't Cinderella, it was Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
so those are my two favorites that I would watch every day, pretty much as a kid.
How many times you've watched Cinderella?
I don't know, once or twice a day. Or to
Yeah.
be honest, I have no clue, but it was a lot.
That's really they Cinderella made millions for that for that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for answering that questions. And I think let's go back a little bit on your a lot of struggles you've shared. You've said that you've growing up, you've failed, you fail a lot, and you think that's the end, that's the finish line. So how do you uh, how do you change your mindset, or uh, how do you overcome those challenges? Can you share with us, for our listeners, how do you overcome and change your mindset from being for having self doubt, and just do this and take this world very strong, and yeah, and share your content in the whole
sure.
world.
I mean,
Mhm.
Well, it does start with, how you see yourself, right? I mean, I used to see myself as someone who wasn't worthy, someone who would just settle for things versus like thinking that I deserve better. So, how you see yourself is huge, right? If you see
Yes.
yourself as not worthy, then of course you're not going to go after what you want. So you have to learn to work from the inside out, right? Really kind of like peel off all that layers that you have on you. Surrounding yourself with like, with people who you want, like with positive minded people is really huge,
Mm-hmm.
or, people who are authentic enough or honest enough to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. Because, sometimes we don't like what we need to hear, but we have to hear
Mm-hmm.
it because it's good for us, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So surrounding yourself with the right people is huge, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you want to be more confident, then you hang around more confident people. Um, you know, for me, reading a lot of self-help books was huge. That
Yes.
really
Mm-hmm.
changed the way I see things, especially when it came to failure. The
Mm-hmm.
podcast really helped me because hearing women's stories about not failing once, twice, three, four times,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to get back up made me realize like failure is not final. Failure is just feedback. Sometimes things don't work out and you just keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and most successful people fail a lot. I mean, some more than others, and they
Yeah.
just keep going until they find
Mm-hmm.
something that works. Because sometimes I read this somewhere that, 9 out of 10 times of the things that you do won't work out, but that one time it will can make a huge impact, like 90%, of the world. And, that makes
Mm-hmm.
total sense. Like with Thomas Edison, like, 10,000 ways, he found 10,000 ways for a light bulb not to work. But
Mm-hmm.
the one time that he did, I mean, look around us, a light bulb's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, just because it didn't work out the first 10,000 times doesn't mean the next one won't, right? I mean, you just keep going until you find it. And yeah, sometimes it sucks because you're like, okay, like I've done it so many times. Like, why isn't
Mm-hmm.
this working?
Yeah.
You're a lot closer than you think. You just keep going
100%.
because
Mm-hmm.
you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing.
100%. I remember one story about that. So about failure and success. Uh, a lot of people don't see the 10,000 fail or failures for those for the one who succeed. There's tons of there are a few successful people who've been in the cover magazine like Time magazine, Inc. or whatever it is. But you don't. A lot of people don't see the failures behind it, right? So that's really fascinating and interesting to share also for our listeners. And you mentioned, Sheena, you a lot of books help you uh, to gain your self confidence and to bring more value uh, outside. So, what are your recommendations, or what your best book that you would like to recommend for our listeners?
So, some of the books I've read over the years, one was called, How to Win Friends and Influence Others, The Science of Getting Rich.
Yes.
Um, Something with badass in it. It's either how to be a badass or you're
Yeah.
a badass. It was something like that.
Okay.
Actually, one of my favorite books is,
Yeah.
a book on leadership that was written by Charo Santos. That's a really great read because she really shares her journey in her life and her career and how many failures she's been through and what real leadership is like. So I think that's a great book to read. And then there was another book that I was gonna say, but I totally forgot. Um, but for sure,
Different
the
time.
Charles Santos book is really a great read. I
Yeah.
think it's a really really good read. It really teaches you what it means to be a leader, and what she's learned in her own journey and how you can learn from it and realize that you can do it. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Okay, so my internet is unstable. I
Oh,
think I will edit it. So I catch the books you mentioned. So yeah, and the dogs are barking here. Can you hear it? How do you
it
overcome
happens.
this kind of something like that? Few of my guests, previous guests, when we're recording this episode, sometimes a neighbor's dog barking. It's really embarrassing. Sorry.
Oh, sometimes I just leave it. To be honest,
Yeah.
I just leave it sometimes because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it helps them kind of like
Uh-huh.
get back into the zone from
Mm-hmm.
listening again.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, uh, keep it. So yeah, that's really thank you, Sheena. Yeah. I think it's quiet now. We can go back again. So thank you so much for your book recommendations. I will put the links or put that on our show notes. So probably I will hunt them down. So I one of my favorite book, which is really changed me for our listeners. So that you can also find it useful, which is essentialism, the pursuit of disciplined pursuit of less by Gordon McOwen. So that's the author. It's really helped me to change my mindset from what if to it is what it is, and then uh, and break all the habits that non-essential and keep the habits that really essential for your growth and for your career or whatever you would like to apply those principles. That's really a great valuable resource. So thank you so much, Sheena. And yeah, I think it's a little bit too late, so I don't want to waste your time. Or so I really I really love your journey, how you design your life, and for those who who would like to be inspired is I really recommend to listen on your podcast. So especially my friends out there who has self doubt and and you need encouragement. Please do a favor to follow Sheena. It's really fascinating and interesting to apply and create and listen to this awesome individual. Yeah. So uh, Yashina, for all the what is for all our listeners. So what is the best advice or practical tips that you can give for them for just to start or to get started on their craft, on their career, or on their building their self confidence? What are your practical advice for them?
well, for me, especially when it comes to building, the career you want versus or self confidence is, it's okay to take baby steps. A lot of people a lot of people think that you have to take like huge steps to increase your confidence or to do something you love, but
100%.
that actually hurts us because we try to attain something so huge, and when we don't,
Mhm.
and we don't hit it, we just feel like a failure. So,
Mhm.
having these small actionable steps is huge because when you do something and finish it, like you're like, oh, I finished it. What's my next? What's the next one that I can do? And it slowly builds up your confidence, right?
Mhm.
So taking baby steps, small actionable steps is a lot more feasible and practical for the person who's just starting out. Um, because it will really help you out in the long run. And, just learning to be resourceful, right? Just because you don't have the equipment right now doesn't mean you can't start, right? Just,
Mhm.
find whatever you have, right? And just start with that. I mean, like as a photographer, if you don't have a fancy camera, start with your phone, right?
Mhm.
I mean, just start and
Mhm.
you just build on it, right? As you keep going and learn to believe in yourself, right? What you say to yourself is huge, right? If you keep on telling yourself you're a failure, you're going to attract failure in your life. But if you're going to, keep telling yourself you're worthy, you can go out there and do it, you're going to keep doing it. Right. And yeah, at first it's going to sound weird because it's weird talking to yourself, right? You're not used to it and you're going to think it's funny and awkward. But the more you keep doing it, it'll become a part of the process, a part of your routine. You just got to start doing it, right? Everything you start the first time will seem awkward and weird and funny, but the more you keep doing it, the better you'll get at it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. Take note of that. So that's really valuable from Sheena, a valuable lesson from Sheena, and I think a lot of people really need to just start and don't overthink a lot, or don't overthink that you don't have this equipment. Just do it, right? So that's really really one of the key for growing and for finding your purpose. Yeah, Sheena, you I think you're a busy woman, right? You're so busy. So what's the uh, uh, what is the day in a life of Sheena? What's your routine in a day? How you start from getting up? Yeah, something like that. Can you share a little bit? Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know, I wake up.
You wake up.
I'll work out probably in the morning because I
Uh-huh.
find that better to work out in the morning for me versus at night. I'll go visit my family, visit my friends, in between get some work done. Um, that's pretty much it. Especially now being in the Philippines, I try to spend as much time with my grandmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I do it, spend time with them. And
Yes. Mm-hmm.
the beauty about podcasting is you can do it anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. So
Yeah.
pretty grateful for that. And yeah, and just doing a lot of self-reflection and observation, just learning to be aware of myself and why I feel the way I feel or why certain things happen. I believe everything that happens to us, there's a learning lesson or something good comes out of it. So I have to
Yeah.
keep asking myself, like, what good comes out of this? Like, what am I supposed to learn? Even though there's days you're like, why am I in this situation? But it happens, and we can't control being in that situation sometimes, but we can control how we react to it.
Hundred
So
percent.
yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's just like what happened right now. The dogs are barking. We can control that. So what we can do is to just move forward, or just keep moving forward. So that's what we can learn from Sheena, and erase that self doubt. Be positive, and yeah, just keep going. And yeah, and thank you so much, Sheena, for spending the night, or the 1 hour with me. So thank you so much. Almost 1 hour with me. So thank you so much again for accepting my invitation. And I really love how you positively impact person, and through your podcast, through your content. And I will follow you. I will follow more of your content. And yeah, thank you so much again, Sheena.
Not a problem. I mean, thanks for having me. It was really great, chatting about confidence and my journey. So thanks for having me again.
Yeah, for our last question. So to end the show, so what's your tools that you can recommend for those who would like to start podcasting, or just to create something that they love? Mm-hmm.
So some tools and resources. Well, for podcasting, when I first started, a lot of people started asking me, how do I start a podcast? So I do have a mini course that teaches you how to start it. I mean, there's a small fee to it, but it teaches you how to start your own podcast. Other than that, I have on my website, the Tao of Self-Confidence, resources to automate your business if you want to do an online business. Some tools that I recommend to use in podcasting, some self, development, whether it's books or an online course, there's some there. So, things here and there that can help you out in your own journey.
Yeah, so the Tao of self-confidence.com, right? So I will put the links on our show notes. So what other links that they can reach out for you, or what are the best social site that they can reach out or ask questions from you?
Well, I'm pretty active on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So if you just search my name, Sheena Yap Chan, I'm like the only Sheena Yap Chan on the internet. And so it's really easy to find me. Or they can go to the website, thetaoselfconfidence.com. They can hear past episodes, I have some free gifts that I give away, like a free self-talk tape. That they can listen at any time to help them retrain their brain to think differently, right? Or to think more positively about themselves. And yeah, so that's how you can reach me.
That's it, guys. So, do you have any voice lessons that that I can sign up to?
Oh, not that I didn't even. I
To
didn't
make
even
my
think.
voice a little bit beautiful. No, just kidding. So thank you.
Practice.
Practice. Okay, so that's it, guys. So once again, Sheena Yap Chan of the Tao of selfconfidence.com. You can find the links on our show notes. So I will put it, and the book recommendation and the links of Sheena. You can reach out to her for all your questions. So thank you so much again for Sheena for. I really appreciate and I learned a lot from you. So I hope we can talk more about content creations soon again. So yeah, thank you, Sheena.
Thank you. Thanks again.
And that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for listening on to this week podcast with Sheena Yap. That was great, and I really learned a lot. And thank you so much, Sheena, again for spending your time with me on this episode. And for those who would like to know more about, for those who would like to check all the episodes, you can go to thedesignlifeshow.com. Please let me know if I'm moving to the right direction. Please leave a feedback on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, and let me know if I help you on this journey of mine. So it really means the world to me. If you like to support the show, you can also find all the information at thedesignlifeshow.com. Thank you so much, guys, especially to the avid listeners who really follows me from starting this podcast until now. We are now on episode 22 and super excited to share more values to you guys. And yeah, that's it. I think I will not waste your time on this a very long outro. So thank you so much again, and see you or talk to you again, guys, later. Bye, guys, and happy weekend.